Welcome to Principles of Macroeconomics. Lecture 5 will cover some difficult cases for the private market. We will begin by taking a closer look at economic efficiency. As economists, we use the term economic efficiency as a standard to assess economic outcomes. Economic efficiency is a situation that occurs when two conditions are satisfied. 1. All activities generating more benefits than costs are undertaken, and no activities are undertaken for which the costs exceed the benefits. In a market setting, we have efficiency when all units are produced for which the social benefits outweigh the social costs. Let's take a look at marginal analysis of efficiency in the production process. In the diagram below, we can see that the efficient quantity occurs at the intersection of the supply and demand curves. At this point, all units are being produced for which the marginal benefit to society of the commodity outweighs the marginal cost. Producing a quantity to the left of this equilibrium results in an inefficient outcome because we have not exhausted all positive net benefits, or a net benefit being defined as benefits minus the social cost. Producing to the right of the equilibrium would result in marginal costs that outweigh the marginal benefits. So the economically efficient equilibrium is at point A with a price of P. Let's take a look at economic efficiency in terms of policy analysis. Efficient policies do not always eliminate all of our problems. Economics is about trade-offs, or the value of what we have to give up to get something. Policies that completely eliminate social problems are usually inefficient because the opportunity costs of the decisions outweigh the benefits. For example, the elimination of pollution is a noble goal, but imagine the cost to society of having zero pollution. We may all have perfectly clean air, but we would not be allowed to drive our gasoline-powered vehicles. Even most electricity production could not occur. We may be able to eliminate pollution completely, but we would incur significant costs as a result. Health economists are often seen as heartless mathematicians because in some cases it is more efficient to deny medical care to terminally ill patients if the resources could be used to save more lives elsewhere. If private markets are so good at promoting economic efficiency, what role should government play? Well, there is substantial agreement that two roles of government are legitimate. First, the government has a role in protecting individuals and their property against invasion or violence, and secondly, they can provide goods that cannot easily be provided through the private market system. For example, the production of national defense, courts of law, and a stable monetary system are just a few examples of institutions that are sometimes difficult to provide through a completely private market. Now we will take a look at economic externalities. An externality is an effect that an economic activity has on a non-consenting third party that is not reflected in normal market transactions. In these cases, an economic activity imposes some social costs, or rather external costs or benefits, onto other individuals who are not voluntarily engaging in the exchange. For example, if I purchase electricity from a coal-burning utility company, the pollution from the production process imposes a cost onto non-consenting local residents who have to deal with the added smog and dirty shirts from the smokestacks of the coal-fired power plants. Now let's take a look at a graphical example of negative externalities. Now, using our pollution example, assume that what is being produced in this market are units of electricity. In this case, there will be some external costs imposed on local residents. So, if normally the market relies on the supply curve and the demand curve, which represent marginal private cost, and marginal private benefits. However, there is an added social cost, or external cost, to the production of electricity. This shifts the social supply curve up by the amount of the external cost. So the socially efficient equilibrium is actually at point C, and a private market would end up overproducing the amount of electricity. So in a private system, you would have the quantity Q1 produced. However, the socially optimum equilibrium quantity is at Q2. Next, let's take a look at public goods and market production. Some economists argue that public goods are underproduced by private markets. A public good is a good or service that is non-rivalrous. This means that one consumer's use of the good does not reduce another consumer's enjoyment of the good. They are also non-excludable. That is, it is not practical to exclude non-paying consumers. One example is national defense. So my use of national defense does not reduce the benefit that my neighbor gets from the public good. In these cases, some economists argue that consumers will free ride or consume the good without contributing to the production of the good. These economists argue that it is more efficient to have the government produce these goods rather than have the private market result be an underproduction. However, what does public goods theory have to say about the case of Microsoft? For those who doubt the ability of a free market to provide a public good, software companies may be one counterexample. Companies like Microsoft produced a good that was non-rivalrous. That is, we can copy software from a friend and not take away from their use of the good. In its early days, Microsoft was also less able to exclude non-paying customers. Also, programmers provide operating systems, such as Linux, as free software, which is technically a public good.